So this time I have the original big boy amongst the Street Fighter figures. This is Zangief by Storm Collectibles. When his character was first created, he was the big guy. Uh, it's a nice figure. I love this figure. There are things I don't like, and I'll go through those. But when you look at it, you've got to be just amazed at the look of the figure. So I was kind of curious as to where Zangief stood in relation to other Street Fighter characters, all the way up to Street Fighter V. And so I was going through my World Warrior Encyclopedia, looking at the heaviest characters, and some of the weights kind of surprised me. So I thought I'd go through that. The first one is G, who maybe a lot of people have never even heard of, but he's, I believe, a downloadable character. Looks kind of like Abraham Lincoln. He's 150 kilograms, so this is a big guy. G is pretty enormous. Then you have, of course, Hugo at 200 kilograms. So he's a monster. This is based on Andre the Giant. There he is in relation to Poison, looking like a mountain. Rufus, who's 185 kilograms. You can see where it is. The guy's a basically a ball. Then you have the gigantic Sagat, who weighs in at 78 kilograms. Okay, so I don't know how that's possible. I think he's well over 7 foot tall, looking gigantic. So that's extraordinarily light for Sagat. That seems hard to believe. Of course, T-Hawk, 162 kilograms. When Street Fighter II came out, he was the biggest guy. Zangief is a relatively light 115 kilograms. So there are a lot of characters that are quite a bit larger. And then we have the biggest, Abigail, 265 kilograms. So he's another one of the newer characters, and he's just a freak. I don't know what he's, 8 foot, 9 foot, whatever, some kind of mutant. I'm not sure what he's supposed to be. But those are the big characters. So what I love about Zangief, first of all, he's got his little trunks. And if you've watched Wreck-It Ralph, his trunks made an appearance in there. So there they are. They're kind of rubbery. Everything on this is kind of rubbery. This is a more hard plastic here. The muscularity is amazing. This is definitely a fantasy character. Huge, huge, huge. Look at those hamstrings, the quads. I love those thighs. Separation in the muscles. I don't know why he's got a crease in his knees. And the bizarre patches of hair. This is a separate rubber piece. For whatever reason, I'm not sure why, but his head just pops right off. Doesn't really, I guess it can swivel, but it does not, I mean, you could see there's nothing in there to hold it in. So I guess it didn't care. It's like, all right. Now, I remember when I first got this figure, I was just shocked at the thickness, the weight, the density of the figure, but I started kind of maneuvering it around, and this character's joints are so stiff that my youngest daughter, who was probably 25 feet away in a different room, asked me what the noise was. That's how loud it was when I was trying to move the joints around. So this one, I would say, is posable in theory, not in practice. I also kind of, I don't know if you can see, but when I was moving it around, it was kind of scraping plastic against plastic and creating some shiny spots. And so I said, you know what, I'm not gonna move this figure around at all. He'll just stand on the shelf and do his thing. But these joints are incredibly stiff. Here's how he looks in the game. This is the Street Fighter V version. I think this is a really good interpretation of the character. So, there he is. There he is. Looks pretty good. He's got the scarring. I assume those are scars and not tattoos. He looks huge. There's another character I was surprised didn't make it into the top, which is Birdie. He's a huge guy, but not nearly as big as even actually M. Bison. Relatively small compared to the big characters. But this is definitely one of my favorite figures, even though he's practically incapable of being posed at all or manipulated. He just looks fantastic, and he does move somewhat. You could get some movement. Actually, that's not that bad. I've actually seen worse. My Dark Side figure is worse. I got a few others that are worse, but that muscularity is just fantastic. So, another character that didn't make it into the list there was E. Honda, who's a big boy, but not as big as some of these other guys. So, E. Honda was actually quite a bit lighter than Rufus. So, of the chubby characters, Rufus is significantly heavier than E. Honda. But I'll be getting E. Honda soon, and then if Storm Collectibles made any of those figures, T-Hawk or I don't know what I would do with a character like Abigail. He would be so enormous, but it would be pretty hilarious having that character. But Zangief is both enormous and iconic. So this is the last of my Storm Collectible figures. And I mentioned in another video, I think I've taken them off probation, and I'm going to give them another chance with some of the figures coming out, including E. Honda and Balrog. So there's Zangief, looking good.